Hello everyone, welcome to a short lesson video on the topic Investment Appraisal for Cambridge A-Level Accounting. In this video, we will understand the concept of net present value and solve a past paper question on the same. Before we proceed, please note abbreviations are used in this presentation only due to space constraints. Abbreviations are strictly not allowed in the Cambridge exams. Net present value is the present value of future receipts from a project less the present value of future payments in respect of the same project. Naturally, the higher the net present value, the better it is for the business. When a selection has to be made, the project or machine with the highest net present value should be chosen. Let us solve a past paper question on net present value or NPV. This is October-November 2016, paper variant 3.1. Alexander wants to start a new project and he has to decide whether to produce product X or to produce product Y. Each product will require additional capital of $50,000 and the products are expected to last for 4 years. We have been given some information about product X. Sales volume in year 1 for product X would be 10,000 units and the selling price would be $7 per unit. The sales volume will rise by 5% in year 2 and by another 5% in year 3. In year 4, there will be a 20% fall in the sales volume. The selling price will not change, that means it will remain $7 throughout. The variable cost will be $3 per unit in year 1 and it will rise to $4 in year 2 and will remain unchanged thereafter. Annual fixed cost payable will be $11,000 and this will remain unchanged. In part A, we have to calculate the net cash flows for each year and in total for product X. So let us start solving part A. So this is part A, net cash flow for product X. We'll have 4 columns: year, inflow, outflow, and net cash flow. We'll prepare a working note to find out the number of units sold in each of the years 1 to 4. So this is working note 1, number of units sold. In year 1, 10,000 units are sold. In year 2, there is a rise of 5% in the number of units sold. And then there is a further rise of 5% in year 3 in the number of units sold. In year 4, there is a fall of 20% in the number of units sold. So let us record this in our working note. In year 1, it is expected that 10,000 units will be sold. In year 2, it is expected that there will be an increase of 5% in the number of units sold. That means 10,000 plus 10,000 into 5%. So it is expected that in year 2, 10,500 units will be sold. In year 3, they are anticipating a further rise of 5%. So 10,500 plus 10,500 into 5%, which means 11,025 units are expected to be sold in year 3. In year 4, they have predicted that there will be a fall of 20% in the sales volume. So 11,025 minus 11,025 into 20%. Which gives us 8,820 units. So 8,820 units are expected to be sold in year 4. We'll fill the year column in our main answer. We start with year 0, that is the date of starting the project. Then we have years 1, 2, 3 and 4. We'll stop at year 4 because the products will last only for 4 years. On the date of starting the project, that is year 0, there will be a cash outflow of $50,000. So let's record this in our main answer. So for year 0, there is no inflow, but there will be an outflow of $50,000. It will be in brackets because it is a negative figure. So we will have a net cash flow of $50,000 negative for year 0. In year 1, 10,000 units are expected to be sold as we have seen in working note 1, and we know that each unit will have a selling price of $7. Therefore, the cash inflow for year 1 will be 10,000 units of sales multiplied by $7 per unit, that is $70,000. In year 2, as per our working note, the number of units sold will be 10,500, and we have been told in point 4 that the selling price will not change. That means for years 1 to 4, the selling price will remain $7 per unit. Therefore, cash inflow for year 2 will be 10,500 units of sales multiplied by $7 selling price, that is 73,500. As per our working note, number of units expected to be sold in year 3 is 11,025, and we already know that the selling price is $7 per unit. We'll record this in our main answer. 11,025 units multiplied by $7 per unit, $77,175. Similarly, for year 4, the inflows will be 8820 units multiplied by $7 per unit. We get $61,740 of inflow. Variable costs will be $3 per unit in year 1, and number of units in year 1 is 10,000. Therefore, in the outflow column, we will write 3 into 10,000. This is the total variable cost for year 1. In year 2, the variable cost is $4 per unit, and then this will remain unchanged. The number of units for year 2 is 10,500. Therefore, variable cost for year 2 will be $4 per unit multiplied by 10,500 units. And we have already been told in point 5 that variable cost per unit in years 3 and 4 will also remain $4. And we know that the number of units expected to be sold in year 3 is 11,025 and 8,820 for year 4. Therefore, total variable cost for year 3 will be 4 into 11,025, and for year 4 it will be 4 into 8,820. Note that we have only recorded the variable cost in the outflow column, but what about the fixed cost? That needs to be recorded as well. So let's take a look at the fixed cost. So we have been told in point 6 that annual fixed costs payable will be $11,000 and will remain unchanged for all the 4 years. So we'll add the fixed cost to the variable cost for each year. So for year 1, the cash outflow will be 3 into 10,000 plus 11,000, that is 41,000. It will be in brackets because it is a negative figure. For year 2, the outflow will be 4 into 10,500 plus 11,000, that is negative 53,000. For year 3, it will be 4 into 11,025 plus 11,000, that is negative 55,100. And for year 4, it will be 4 into 8,820 plus 11,000, that is negative 46,280. The net cash flow for year 1 will be 70,000 inflow minus 41,000 outflow, that is 29,000. For year 2, it will be 73,500 inflow and 53,000 outflow, that is positive 20,500. For year 3, 77,175 inflow and 55,100 outflow, that is 22,075. For year 4, it will be 61,740 inflow and $46,280 of outflow, that is $15,460. Let's total the net cash flow column. 50,000 negative plus 29,000 positive plus 20,500 positive plus 22,075 positive plus 15,460 positive. We get $37,035. With this, we have completed part A of the question. Next, we have been told that Alexander's cost of capital is 10%, and we have also been provided the discount factors for the cost of capital. We are required in part B to calculate the net present value of product X. So this is part B, present value of cash flows for product X. We'll prepare 4 columns. The first one is year, then we'll write net cash flow. The third column will be discounting factors at 10%, and the last column will be present value. We'll fill in the year column first. As usual, we will start with year 0. Next, we'll fill the net cash flow column. We have already found out the net cash flows in part A. We have already been provided the discounting factors for 10% cost of capital, so we can record these in our discounting factor column. Discount factor for year 0 is always 1. Next, we have to find out the present value of the net cash flows for each year. We have already seen in the previous video that present value is net cash flow multiplied by discounting factor. So for year 0, it will be negative 50,000 into 1, that is negative $50,000. For year 1, it will be 29,000 into 0.909. Similarly, we will solve for years 2, 3 and 4. Figures in decimals should be rounded off. We'll now total the present values for all the years. So we have negative 50,000 plus 26,361 plus 16,933 plus 16,578 plus 10,559. We get $20,431, and this is our net present value or NPV. With this, we have solved part B of the question. Up to this point in the question, we have been provided information regarding product X, and we have also solved for product X. But now we have been given information regarding product Y. So we have been told that Alexander has carried out the same calculations for product Y, and he found out that the net present value for product Y is $30,400. We are required in part C to advise Alexander which product he should make solely based on the net present value, and we also have to justify our answer. For this, we need to compare the net present values of products X and Y. We have already found out the net present value of product X in part B. It is $20,431. And the net present value of product Y is $30,400. We already know that the higher the net present value, the better it is. Therefore, since product Y has a higher net present value than product X, Alexander should produce product Y. So we'll write part C. Based on NPV, Alexander should produce product Y since it has a higher NPV. With this, we have completed part C of the question, and that means we have completed the entire question. Let us now take a quick look at the advantages and disadvantages of the net present value method of investment appraisal. Of course, the most important advantage of the net present value is that it considers the time value of money by using discount factors. Also, unlike the payback period method, it includes all the net cash flows from the whole life of the project. Another advantage is that greater importance is given to earlier cash flows since higher discount rates are used in the earlier years. And this is good because earlier cash flows are more predictable. So the more predictable cash flows are being given more importance. We now come to the disadvantages of NPV. Like all other methods of investment appraisal, NPV method has the disadvantage that the future is unpredictable. Therefore, the life of the project, inflows and outflows, all of that is unpredictable and only estimate based. Again, interest rates keep fluctuating, so it may be difficult to determine the cost of capital with any reliability. So that was a past paper question on NPV method of investment appraisal. We will cover the IRR method of investment appraisal in the next video.